Here's a theme song, you know it's not a mean song. It's a good song, just as it should song. American brews and tunes. Shibbity-beeby-dow!
Whoa, here we are back again with another one-off.
Wow. Fantastic.
Yeah, this is American Brews and Tunes. My name is Stephen Johnston.
My name is Jesse Titus.
And here on episode number 90.
90?
I know, crazy.
Ooh.
We've reached the 9th level.
We've reached the 9th decade.
We're
10.
We're here with another one-off. As you all know, on one-offs, we review the same album, just one that we both know, and one beer.
Yeah. It's going to be great.
Well, maybe. We'll see. It's going to be something.
I am excited for this one, though, specifically.
Me as well. On this episode, we are reviewing the renowned and somewhat polarizing album,
Yeah.
Kid A by Radiohead.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. We'll touch more on why you said renowned and polarizing.
Yeah.
After we try this fantastic, well, I assume fantastic beer that we're about to have.
Yeah. What is this beer, you might ask? It's called Boy by Various Artists Brewing.
From right here in Nashville, Tennessee.
Yeah. I believe they're not a craft brewery, they're a microbrewery.
Yes.
And
they're very small.
All that is just classified by production size.
Yeah.
They're very, very small operation right here in Nashville.
Yeah.
Cool little place. If you're ever in the area, check it out.
Yep. It's on Elm Hill Pike.
Yeesh.
What? And this one was 100 bottles were made.
Yes.
Of this one.
We just snagged some because we're awesome. It says Tennessee Whiskey Barrel Aged Cold Pressed Coffee Russian Imperial Stout.
Boom.
Boom is
everything
right.
that I like about a stout, the coffee, cold pressed coffee in this one, Russian Imperial Stout. It's going to be fantastic.
I certainly think so. I really haven't been disappointed from anything that Various Artists has done.
Yeah, same here. So I'm very much looking forward to this.
I have not had any stouts from them before.
True.
I've had their brown ale, which was quite nice.
It's been a while in general since
lagers.
I've had a like meaty stout like this, or a big stout like this. I shouldn't say meaty, because some of them actually are like a smoked stout.
Yeah, you could say
which
meaty.
Taste meaty.
Yeah. Agreed.
So, a Rauch beer.
We already had this one poured. We normally pour them on the episode, but this one we poured them before because this was a wax-dipped bottle.
Yeah.
And sometimes those are a little challenging to open, so I didn't want to
do that while recording.
Didn't want to stumble over in the wax and accidentally cut my thumb off.
So you'll have to imagine a sound. Yeah.
Wow, this beer poured nicely.
It poured so fast and so well.
It's pretty dark.
Yeah, it is.
I feel like it's like a dark as night stout, but I still feel like it's not as dark as some of those evil twin ones that look like sludge.
Yeah, and I don't know why, but just from smelling it, it seems like it's going to have a little bit of a lighter body than those two.
Yeah, it might not. It
still not a light body, but it
compared to the evil twin ones.
Yeah,
it clocks in at 10.7%, so it's boozy.
Yeah, it is very boozy.
It's a booze machine.
A booze machine. A bottle of booze.
It is
almost.
It's got a nice dark tan, almost brown head.
Yeah, I would say dark tan.
Yeah, it looks delicious.
Yeah, so why don't we give it the old cheers and try it out?
You're right. Why don't we? Let's. Down the various hatch. That's very smooth. Well, it almost seems thicker at first, and then kind of like lighter as the taste kind of goes on.
Yeah, it's kind of like if you drop like a pebble in a pond, and then it goes in, and then the water that comes up starts off really dense right in the middle, then it ripples, continues to ripple throughout your mouth.
Yeah, that's a good analogy, I guess.
The flavor does.
Yeah,
it starts like a flavor wave.
I think this seems sweeter and creamier than I would have expected from a Russian Imperial Stout.
Yeah,
more
normally,
like a Imperial Milk Stout almost, because it's got that creaminess to it. It's really nice.
Yeah, normally I guess aren't Russian Imperial Stouts more malty than this?
Yeah, usually more bitter, I would say.
Yeah, this one doesn't have too much of a bitter flavor, which I'm not really opposed to. I kind of like the fact that it's not super bitter.
I guess I'm getting some coffee in there, but it's not like black coffee. Again, it's got that creaminess to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there are some...
I definitely am getting a little bit of coffee, though.
Yeah, but it's not like that super bitter black coffee flavor that some coffee stouts have.
Oh, you know what? On that second sip, I did get a little bit of bitterness.
Did you?
Which was kind of nice. Yeah, it was right on the top of the nose, like right on the top of the palate. Just very slightly.
Yeah.
It was
a nice
nice.
beer.
Not overpowering, pretty smooth.
Doesn't taste like 10.7%.
No, definitely not. It almost tastes like chocolate milk. Just kidding. No, it doesn't.
It's not that sweet and creamy. But it's very, very good.
But yeah, I really like it though. It's tasty. So
Yeah.
good job, Various Artists Brewing Company.
I could probably have more than one of these, unlike a lot of those Evil Twin
Yes,
humongous
yeah,
stouts.
it's a little bit more drinkable than those.
Oh, it's a lot more. Not that those ones aren't good. They're just sludgier. I don't know. That's the only thing I can think to say. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with this. Another fun little note is that on the bottle itself is the word boy, but it's an instruction of how to take that and turn it into a face.
like a
Kinda
drawing of a boy.
If you've ever seen like in a comic book or in like a kid's book, they'll have instructions on how to draw this cartoon, and it'll have like a 4 or 5 step little process. And it's, the first one's just like a couple squiggles, and then you add onto it until finally you have the face of whichever cartoon character you're supposed to draw. They have got one of those little instructions on the front and on like a graph paper, and then on the back is a blank graph paper, and they give you a pen so you can try yourself.
Yeah.
What a fun little idea.
Kind of a cool little idea from them.
It's a good idea.
Good idea, oh Lord.
Yeah, I'm happy with this. Good job, Various Artists. You guys are the champions.
Fantastic. Again, if you're in the Nashville area, definitely check them out. They're a great little brewery. It's maybe like 50 people to 100 people can fit in there.
Yeah, small.
They've got a game called Clackers there. That's super fun.
Yeah.
It's a good drinking game if you're there enjoying a few pints.
You just need to be able to add small numbers together.
Yeah, pretty much.
Simple addition.
1 through 10.
Yeah.
1
Piece
plus
of
10
cake.
equals 11.
1 plus 1 is 2.
Yeah, exactly. 2 plus 3 is 5.
2 plus 2 is 5.
No, it's not. What?
Isn't that a Radiohead song?
Is it?
2 and 2 always makes a 5.
What album is it from?
Hail to the Thief.
Oh, that's why I wouldn't know it.
Oh.
That's the one that I haven't listened to the most.
Yeah, but we're not here to review Hail to the Thief. That's for another episode. We're here for Kid A.
Yeah.
So let's get into it, shall we?
We shall.
Before we get into our classic track-by-track review, which we always do, let's give a little background, shall we?
Yeah, we definitely should, because this is Radiohead was coming off of a huge tour with their third album, OK Computer.
Correct.
And that was a pretty...
Which came out in 97.
Yeah.
This one came out in 2000. So a 3-year gap is... I feel like for that time period, like albums were coming out every 2 years. That's the solid
normally,
thing.
I mean, that's normally what's happening, right?
Yeah.
But this was kind of a unique break between, because the tour, that OK Computer tour, was really taxing on the band.
Yeah. And just everything after OK Computer. OK Computer was a huge success.
A huge success, yeah.
So they had the tour, they had the press, they had the radio play, the interview, all kinds of crap. The band almost broke up after that.
Really?
Lots of tensions. Tom York was very depressed.
Yeah.
Because he's a very emotional guy. Mm-hmm. I guess. No, he is.
He is, definitely.
But yeah, the band was very burnt out. If you would like to see kind of like their mindset during that time, there is a documentary called Meeting People is Easy. You can find it on YouTube. You can watch the whole thing.
Yeah.
And it literally just follows them. It doesn't really have any agenda. It just literally shows them playing shows, doing press, traveling, all kinds of stuff during the OK Computer album cycle. And it gives you a good perspective of where they are.
Yeah.
Physically, mentally, emotionally, all kind of stuff there. It's very, very interesting to watch.
Yeah, I can imagine that being really difficult, especially because I'm assuming that they went on like a world tour, and they were like, that's like the height. I wouldn't say the height of their popularity, but at that time, like they were huge. Super famous.
They were one of the biggest rock bands at the time.
Yeah, in the world.
Biggest rock bands.
Rock bands, yeah.
Yeah, but after that,
alternative rock.
They were kind of done being like They were done being like the
poster
just a rock
kids
band
for the genre.
Yeah. They didn't want to be a guitar band anymore.
Yes.
Is what some of them said. Tom York said he was not interested in melody anymore. Just rhythm.
Yeah.
Weird. Because there still is melodies that come in, but
yeah, they're
the
less,
rhythms.
they're less like, oh, I have to write like a catchy melody for this, or like the melody has to be like the main focus of the song.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of thing.
I mean, rhythms definitely took the forefront in a lot of regards. And Tom York,
I guess rhythm, you should say, like, it's more rhythmic based.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of the songs are not
melodically based.
Yeah, melodically based. Yeah, they're more rhythmic based.
Yeah. I read, I can't remember if it was on YouTube, but it said like Tom York was exclusively listening to like techno and
I wouldn't be surprised.
Electronic music. They gave a couple examples, and I did write them down. I should.
And I'm guessing
a couple bands.
Yeah, from a couple of the samples that they use on some of the songs, they were also listening to like minimalist composers, like Paul. What's his name?
Paul Anka. Just kidding. Just kidding. Minimalist composers like Philip Glass.
I didn't mention Philip Glass, but maybe.
Maybe. Maybe not.
I wrote it down here. Where is it?
Paul Stanley.
No, not Paul Stanley.
Paul Simon?
No.
Paul McCartney?
Not Paul Simon, no.
Well, one of the Pauls.
But anyway, no, and they were also listening to Olivier Messiaen, which is a composer from the 1920s and 30s and 40s.
And one of his instruments that he popularized, which we'll touch upon later.
Seems really cool, by the way.
I don't know if you listened to that, but we'll talk about that when we get to it.
Yeah, composers like Paul Lansky and Arthur Krieger, or Krieger. Or you want to say that name. So
when they went into the studio, they were obviously trying to do something different. And Tom York had some severe writer's block. And if you look into anything, they talk about the amount of material that they were trying to write. Yeah. And there was like just hundreds of little ideas and half-formed songs that never went anywhere.
Yeah.
So they really had a hard time coming up with something that they would like agree upon as a full song. But obviously they finished it because
they obviously finished it. Yeah. But
the band members used a lot of newer instruments. They used some old instruments too. But the electronic instruments had a learning curve. Like I don't know if you read anywhere, but they said they had to like spend some days like reading manuals trying to figure stuff out.
I wouldn't be surprised. Like I looked up that one instrument, the One Mane or whatever it was called.
I don't know how to pronounce it. I know how it's spelled.
A French instrument.
But
it looked like it was involved like a keyboard that moved, and you could change the.
There's a wire that
there was like a wire you could play with, and like a whole bunch of different buttons that you could push on it. So
weird stuff.
I would assume that a lot of the instruments would take a little bit to get used to.
But with that new instruments, electronic stuff, and not focusing on what they were known for, not every member played on every song.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Like, obviously, with bands, if you have an acoustic song, there's not going to be drums.
Yeah.
But this is having, like, some songs with no guitars, no bass.
Yeah, it's literally like, hey, this is, if we play this live, like, it's going to be a loop. Like, it's just going to loop.
Let's have a
loop
station. Beat in some electronic background synthesizer stuff.
Yeah.
So it was some bands were like some of the members were afraid of their role going forward.
Yeah.
I've got a good quote here that I found on Wikipedia, but it's from somewhere else. What was his name? Ed O'Brien, the drummer, and Philip Seaway. Oh no, it was just Ed O'Brien. I'm sorry. He said it forced the issue immediately, and he's talking about them accepting that not every band member needed to play it. So it forced the issue immediately. And had to be genuinely sort of delighted that you've been working for 6 months on this record and something great has come out of it and you haven't even contributed to it. But it's a really liberating feeling. So they were like worried about it for a while.
Yeah.
But then eventually they kind of liked it. But it's just so weird how he's like, it's like this thing that we've been working on for 6 months and I haven't even contributed to it.
Yeah.
And it's liberating.
Yeah, weird.
So, I mean, obviously everyone's name is stamped to it, but some people may have not had anything to do with some songs. And a very interesting thing if you're ever in a band dynamic. Or group project. How about that?
Yeah, group project even,
Yeah, but it's very interesting.
But yeah, no, it's just the whole, they just really wanted to shift away from rock, and they wanted to take a new outlook on what music could be, or like what music should be, I guess. And this album, Kid A, is what they eventually came out with.
Yeah. It was very experimental.
Very
electronic,
much so.
Techno, jazz influence, avant-garde, whatever you want to call it.
Avant-garde.
It's a hodgepodge of all kind of things.
Minimalistic is what I would say the dominating factor is.
Yeah.
Dominating genre.
Yeah. When they released it, also, I don't know if you looked up any of the release stuff. They didn't do much of the traditional like marketing. Or
No, yeah, they
stuff.
didn't release any music videos, any singles.
But they used the internet
and then
a lot.
they put it up files online, and then people
File sharing was great for them.
Yeah, file shared a lot
Yeah.
of their album like before it came out, before it was actually released.
Yeah. And after it was released, that's when the polarization started.
Yes.
We'd mentioned that earlier. Critics, well, everyone was divided.
Yeah.
Critics and consumers. Everyone was like, this is the worst thing I've ever heard. This is career suicide. Some people say this is the best album of the decade.
Yeah. Well,
Or of all
eventually,
time.
I know late, like 2010, Rolling Stone named it the best, like the best album of the decade.
Yeah.
So
So it's now, way after the fact, it is highly regarded pretty universally. I mean,
Yeah.
other than some people who just don't like it.
yeah.
But it's for the majority, most people think that this is a fantastic record.
I mean, even when I started listening to it, I was like, huh, this is like weird. This is different. This is interesting.
Yeah.
It probably took me less listens to get used to it than for you, but
Probably not.
really, you liked it immediately too? Or,
Well,
like pretty much
for
immediately?
me, I had obviously listened to OK Computer and then the Bends after that.
Yeah.
I mean, OK Computer's got some weird, like, starts to go in a weird direction a little bit, but not
Yeah.
as extreme as Kid A. But I knew how different Kid A was.
You already knew.
I knew
okay,
it was going to be off
beforehand,
the wall and weird.
Yeah.
And so I was expecting like the weirdest thing ever. So when I put it on, I was like, oh, this isn't that wild.
Okay.
It was,
Yeah.
it was just so much more accessible than I was anticipating. So it was
Oh, okay.
kind of like oh, this isn't crazy. This is nice.
Gotcha.
So
yeah.
I got into it fairly quickly.
Okay, yeah, that makes
Yeah.
sense. Well, what do you say we get into it then?
I say, let's get into it.
Go through
then.
some tracks.
Yeah. I've got 4 recommendations and no ratings.
I think I also have 4 I either have 4 or 3.
Well, we're going to start off with my first
Or
recommendation,
2.
which is Everything in Its Right Place.
Yeah, that's my first recommendation as well.
Prime example of the change.
Yes.
If you look at all the other songs that were like the first songs on the records before, full band rock songs like Planet Telex and Airbag,
Mm-hmm.
like just definitely guitar driven, or at least rocky. There's drums in them at least.
Yeah.
This song is like some kind of electronic keyboard or loop, whatever it is, and the vocal, and that's pretty much it. And some kind of electronic like thump, like doof, 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 doof. It's not a drum. I don't know if it's a pad or it's some kind of looped.
Something like that. Yeah, it seems
Just
like
like a
maybe it's
muffled
looped
thump
noise.
almost.
Yeah. It seems like it would be like a tom, like a muted tom or something like that. But that's kind of like the thing that anchors the whole song.
Yeah.
In my opinion, most of these songs have like one thing that is strung throughout the entire song that kind of anchors the whole song. That is like the one consistent thing that the listener hears throughout the song. And then there are a whole bunch of other layers on top of it that build the entirety of the song.
Agreed.
So that
To an
kind of
extent.
that, yeah, to an extent. But that one weird muted thump is kind of the anchor in this song.
Yeah.
Um,
Got a weird time signature.
yeah,
I would say 5/4.
5/4. I think I would agree, and I would agree with you.
Yeah. Well, not even 5/4. I mean, if you take like a full
Full phrase.
repetition, a full phrase, whatever you want to call it, through the chord progression, it's definitely 10 beats.
Yeah,
I would divide it into 2 measures of 4/4 and then a measure of 2/4.
okay.
But you can divide it however you want.
Yeah,
But it's definitely a slightly weird time signature, but it's not weird if you don't think about it.
so is it 4/4 then 6/4?
You could do that too, yeah.
Probably.
However you want to.
Well, by the way you described it, that's what it would be.
Yeah.
But
I
or
don't know.
4/4, 4/4, and 2/4.
4/4, 4/4, 2/4.
But either way, it is for 2000 as well. The year 2000. Like I was in 3rd grade.
Yeah.
Or like just going into 4th grade or whatever, because this came out in October. So like, I mean, I don't think I listened to anything like this when I was that young, which isn't really surprising.
No, I didn't either.
But so I wasn't like in my teens when this came out, but I can imagine people at that time would be like,
As soon as
This
they put
is
this
just
into their
yeah, like, this is just
CD
weird.
player, they're like, what the heck?
Yeah, they're like, what the, you know?
Yeah.
But I really like this song. There's some wouldn't really say controversy as to what it's about. A lot of people say that it's like kind of like a guy who has ADD or something like that, or it's the band acknowledging that yeah, this album is gonna sound strange, but trust us, everything is in its right place. Like this is the way we want it. Like this is what we're doing now.
They took all of the pieces of their music and put it into different places.
Yeah,
the right place.
The right place.
As you just said. But
yeah. Or I've heard people say like it's talking like an existential way, like our place in the universe or something like that.
Lyrically, it's got a lot of weird stuff, and
Yeah.
they've mentioned in certain places that some of these songs they literally cut up random lyrics and pulled them out of a hat.
Yeah,
They didn't say which songs. This might be one. I don't know. Maybe Morning Bell's one. I don't know. But a lot of people said that the song was about the depression and the weird anxiety that came from the last album cycle and tour.
Yeah,
Maybe not. Probably. I don't know.
who knows? Either way, it's a fantastic song.
Yeah. Should we move on to track number 2?
Title track, yes.
Kid A.
G'day.
Track number 2. This one, I think it's a little bit more out there than the last one.
Yeah, this one's definitely more minimalistic, and it features like more loops.
Yeah.
A little bit less flowy, a little bit less cohesive in a way.
I agree. I think I can't tell, but it sounds like there's at least a drum set playing it part of the song.
Yeah.
So you get that going.
Yeah.
The vocals,
Heavily distorted. You
Heavily
can't really
affected.
understand it unless you are reading the lyric book with it.
yeah. So this is one where I'd say the vocals are, as Tom York had wanted, another layer to the music here, as opposed to being in the forefront.
I read an interview with someone, and they asked Tom York about this song, and he said that he just like was writing down random short lyrics on paper, and then he just kind of picked out some that he liked, and so it really doesn't have too much of a meaning.
You can't even understand it.
Yeah.
Some people said that the Kid A was an artificial intelligence baby that was born.
Yeah.
And that the music here is kind of like a lullaby. Like some of it almost sounds like
something weird
a child
like
lullaby.
That. Well,
I think Tom York said that wasn't the idea, but he likes it.
A lot of people who have said that that's what this whole album is about. It's like the birth of Kid A, and then like the ending of it is his death. And I think Tom York had said like, no, like not really. Like that's not really the purpose of the album. But like, hey, there's probably already a doctor who's made who has already made Kid A.
Yeah, I think he's like I'm not going to dismiss it, but that's not really what we were going for.
Yeah. And that happens for a couple of the songs because the lyrics are so ambiguous that he's like, well, I guess like if that makes sense.
Yeah,
like it's not exactly what we're going for, but
Shall I move on?
Yeah. So track number 3.
Track number 3. My next recommendation. And
just a fantastic
the longest song on the record, I believe.
Close,
yeah. So. It's the national anthem.
Yeah.
Not by Francis Scott Key, though.
No, it's not.
No, it's not.
No, yeah, the song was originally called Everyone.
I'm very incorrect. Francis Scott Key's song was called Star Spangled Banner. It just happens to be our national anthem.
Oh.
You knew what I meant.
Yeah.
Little brain fart.
But anyway, apparently they had been trying to write this song for the past couple albums.
Tom York had written the bass line in like high school.
Yeah, when he was young.
They recorded early versions for OK Computer, and they're like, we don't want to release this as a B-side. It's too good.
Yeah, and it was tentatively going to be named Everyone, I believe.
Something like that. I don't know.
A lot of the lyrics are that everyone around here.
And that tinny weird affected vocal. Such a weird sound on the vocals.
But anyway, there's a super good driving bass line.
The whole song.
And then the drums come in. And this is like the first song where it's like, maybe if you were listening to it for the first time, at the time it came out, you were like, oh, all right. Yeah. This is like old Radiohead.
This is the only song on the album that's you could say is a quote unquote rock song.
Rock song, yeah.
It's not even really a rock song, but it's got. It's definitely.
If
you're gonna headbang to anything on this album, it would be this one.
Yeah.
But this gets wild.
It does. Song. There's a crazy horn section in the bridge,
but they start off kind of slower. Bump bump. Dun, 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 and then they get more and more wild and chaotic.
Yeah.
It's with Johnny Greenwood, the guitar player, was the only member in the band who had any music theory knowledge, and he wrote the horn parts for this and for the next song. We'll talk about that afterwards.
But. Yeah, and he also played the owned I believe it's pronounced Martineau.
I have probably something like that. Or as I would say, the Andes Martinot.
Yeah. Which was like a French instrument created by a French guy.
Yeah. That
composers like Olivier Messiaen used.
Yeah, Messiaen kind of thrust it into popularity, or at least into recognition.
Yeah.
He used it.
And it's kind of, it has like the same type of principles as the theremin.
Yes.
Except you play actual keys, or you actually physically touch where you want the pitch to be and whatnot.
When I heard it the first time, I was like, that sounds just like a theremin. That's what I thought.
Yeah, and I watched a video on it today, and there was a guy explaining it, and the guy interviewing him was like, "Isn't this kind of like the theremin?" And he was like, "Yeah, pretty much the same thing, except with the theremin, you literally have one hand control the volume and one hand control the pitch, and with this, you have one hand push a button to control the volume, and another hand play keys to control the pitch and vibrato, or use that like metal ring to move it along a string and create the pitch that way."
It looks like it'd be futuristic than a theremin, though.
Yeah, it looks like it'd be super fun to play.
Theremin looks like it's played by aliens. This at least looks like a human instrument.
Yeah. For sure. But they said the idea behind the sound of it was like a radio broadcaster trying to find the frequency.
Interesting. I can see that.
And like that's kind of the sound that they were going for with that, like the. But anyway, I thought that instrument was super cool.
It's a really cool one. You can look it up on YouTube. It's like we said before. It's, if you're gonna go phonetically, it's Andes Martinot. Just type that in.
Ondes Martenot.
Yeah, just look that up on YouTube. You can find videos of it.
And if you're French, just take out all the consonants and then pronounce it.
Oui. Let's move on to track number 4.
Yes.
The song is called "How to Disappear Completely."
Yes. Fantastic song.
I'd say it's a pretty popular one off of the
Yeah, it's a really great song. I think it really kind of captures the way Tom York was feeling after that tour, or well on that tour.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely a classic melancholic song, because Radiohead sometimes has those, I don't want to say emo, but like, like the sad kind of vibe songs. And this is the first song that you get on this record, I think, that actually feels like that.
Yeah. Just like the way that they construct the music too, they like have like really light like keyboard sounds, and then eventually like a drum comes in, a really, really kind of like quiet drum beat comes in. And to me, like the lyrics match the music in the song so like perfectly.
I agree.
Which is kind of how a lot of these songs go.
Apparently, Tom York said this song was inspired by a dream of floating around,
like as a ghost in a city.
Yeah, or just out of body experience. Either way.
Yeah, which I could see that too.
Song could be about literally being invisible, or dying, or just leaving.
Yeah,
who knows?
Or just isolating yourself.
Johnny Greenwood had written the string arrangements for this, and I don't know if you read about that, but when he brought the score to the actual players, the instrumentalists, some of them were kind of laughing because what he did was like almost impossible to play, like on the violins and on some of the instruments, because he knows music theory, but he's not
he's never like played he's not a violinist.
Yeah, that's why like classical composers have vast knowledge on each instrument, so they know what's
possible. Yeah.
And so I think the director just said, just give it a try and be imaginative, or something like that.
Yeah.
You can look up articles on that and get some more information. But it is pretty interesting. Shall we move on to track number 5?
Track number 5?
I definitely did not recommend this song.
No. I wrote down one interesting thing about it, though.
About track number 5, called Tree Fingers.
Yeah, it's called Tree Fingers. It's an instrumental track. And it was used in the movie Memento.
Yeah, that's because it sounds like it's a good background thing, because it sounds like just noise.
Yeah. I mean, it was interesting, right? Because that's what instrumental tracks are typically used for nowadays.
I suppose so.
Is like being, at least that type of instrumental track.
This is the skipper song for me.
I mean, I always listen to it just because
I know you do.
It's not that long, and
it's like an interlude, like in the middle of the album.
Yeah, it just kind of like separates the B side and A side.
The only thing I can say about it, about how I can appreciate it, is that the sounds came from a guitar.
Okay.
Because it doesn't sound at all like a guitar. But they did it. That's enough about that song, Tree Fingers. Let's move on to track number 6, Optimistic.
Optimistic.
Yeah. This song is a lot less electronic than some of the prior songs, I think.
Yeah.
I think we're about to go more traditional full band sound for the next couple songs.
Yeah, it almost seems like this song might have gotten the most radio play.
Yes.
Or was the most radio friendly song.
It's got that kind of weird thumping beat on the toms. If you want to say one thing that's kind of driving the song, I'd say.
Yeah, I also wrote down that sounded like there were guitars in it.
Definitely guitars. Yeah,
there are drums, so a little bit more formal.
I really like the guitars on this song, and they have a bunch of different parts that they kind of string together later on as the song goes. I think like in the second chorus, there's the one guitar that has the build up, the do 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 do, and then it comes down do yeah. It almost is like a Eastern sounding arpeggio, like Eastern music. It's really, really cool. And every time I hear that, I'm like, ooh. It's a really cool little line. But like earlier in the song, those sections are split up and happen at different times, and they add them together as the song goes on. It's really, really cool.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of this song.
Yeah, I think it is about being optimistic too.
Yeah, it's what I would say.
It's not a joke.
What I would say is that it's a realist's view of being optimistic. Yeah. Because the chorus is, you can try the best you can. You can try the best you can. The best you can is good enough.
Yeah, that is optimistic.
Yeah. That's a fantastic song. Shall we move on to track
the
outro
7? Of this song, you mean?
The outro?
Yeah, let's move on to that.
Okay, yeah.
There is a little outro that I really like. It has a similar sound from the song Optimistic, like similar like melody kind of going on, but over top of these like jazzy sounding drums.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I forgot about that.
It just sounds really cool and you're like, what in the world?
Yeah.
And it only happens for maybe 30 seconds.
Yeah, it's almost like if there was what is that like akin to? If there was
It's like if a band played their last song and then the house music comes up.
The house music comes up, yeah. And it sounds kind of similar to what the band style play. That's funny, yeah.
So I don't know why it's there. I couldn't find a reason why. I'm sure if I dug deeper I could, but I didn't know why.
Maybe I really like it. Kind of a
segue. I don't know.
Like a segue to the next song, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, because the next song is about a long segue. Track number 7 is called "In Limbo."
That was a good joke.
It was a good one.
Yeah.
This song was originally titled "Lost at Sea," which they say in the song, but both of those titles would be fitting for what they're going for there.
Yeah.
It's got a very floaty feel.
It does, yeah.
Because
it has like arpeggiated guitars, like
yeah. It's really, really cool how they arpeggios change from verse to chorus and so on and so forth. But it is kind of like that kind of like drudging, ominous, repetitive sound. And you feel, I could see this having like an in limbo, actually being in limbo feel.
Yeah.
It's very,
that's
very well done.
That's kind of like what their goal, that's like what this song is very inspired by the actual limbo.
Like Dante's.
From like Dante's Inferno, where baptized babies who died go to await heaven or hell.
Yeah, you're stuck in the middle.
And you're
clowns to the left of me, jokers to the right. Here I am, stuck in limbo. With you.
Stuck in limbo with you. That's why Steve's joke was very funny.
Oh yeah.
A long interlude.
Classic. Let's move on to track number 8, shall we?
Okay, yeah.
Track number 8 is called Idiotech.
I love this song.
This has a very metallic looped drum machine beat that starts at the very beginning and kind of remains the entire time. And it sounds like a disco song. Like over in Europe, they go to clubs that are called discotheques.
Yeah.
So this is like a mix between idiots, or some people said idiosyncrasies. I don't know. I think it's idiot and discotheque.
I think it's tech apparently, TEQE, is apparently like collection of something.
Yeah.
So idiotech is like a collection of idiots, and a lot of people say that it's like about references to like the advances of technology and how it's actually harming us as human beings instead of that or whatever, or it's about global warming. And keep in mind this came out in 2000.
Yeah.
And I guess they were very frightened of global warming in 2000, like the band was.
Yeah, for good reason. Now that I look at my notes, I know why you were talking about Paul Lasky and Arthur Krieger.
They took samples from them.
They sampled a song called Mild und Lis. And did you listen to the sample?
I did not.
You'll recognize it as soon as you listen to it. You can find it on Wikipedia, like just a little WAV file. But I was reading about it, and they said they thought they wrote it, or they got it from somewhere, and then after like a while, they're like, "Oh crap, we sampled this!" Oh, and so they had to send it to these guys.
That's so funny.
They sent them their finished song.
So they
sent
like,
them
"Hey,
Idiotech," and like, "Can we use the sample? Here's what we're using it in." And the guys are like, "Yes,"
because they're classical composers. They're like, "Sure, why not?"
You can use our song.
Maybe we'll get famous.
It's a really cool song, though. It's got a lot of good stuff.
It's super cool. Yeah. It's like super groovy. Like, I think I groove to it anyway.
I do too.
Whenever it comes on, I'm always like, yes.
This was one of the songs I didn't immediately like, but it didn't take too long. I got into this one fairly quickly after that. Weird drums. I'll tell you what song I got into much more quickly.
The next song?
Track number 9, Morning Bell, which is my next recommendation.
Morning Bell. Morning Bell.
This also has a drum beat that starts off the song, but it's not as loopy or electronic sounding as Idiotech.
Yeah. Still good, though.
Yes. It sounds kind of filling after the drums play for a little bit. A little dark and ominous in the verses, but once the, like, I don't know if it's a refrain or what you want to call it, the song opens up and turns, like, from starting out as a dark and ominous thing into this huge, like, luscious, really beautiful sounding thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dum, bum, 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 bum.
Yeah.
It's really, really cool sounding. It's just a great crescendo, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Also, the thing that struck me when I first heard this was Cut the Kids in Half.
Yeah.
Cut the kids in half. Cut the kids in half. I was like, what in the world? Some people said this was about divorce. Maybe that's what it was. Tom York, I think, said it was not about divorce.
Yeah.
He said it was about a ghost.
Yeah, he said that, like, after the OK Computer tour, he bought a house and there was a ghost in it.
A friendly ghost.
100% a ghost. And he recorded a whole bunch of stuff on, like, a mini disc. And then apparently it, like, got deleted or something. And then on the way home from, like, a show in Japan or somewhere, he said he was on the plane, he wasn't able to sleep, and then all of a sudden everything for this song came back to him. And then that's what the song is.
Interesting.
So, but then someone asked, like, well, doesn't it seem like it's also about divorce? And he was like, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
He was like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I can see that.
He's very much like that. Like, if that's what you think, sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good with the flow.
But we should mention that there is another version of this.
Another version in a different time signature in the very next album, which is called Amnesiac.
Which is basically a whole bunch of bonus tracks.
Yeah. It was
that didn't make it onto Kid A.
It wasn't that they were B-sides.
Right.
They consciously separated the songs.
Right.
Into what they thought would be two cohesive
albums, yeah.
I say that because before they released either of them, they were what was the song about the knives on Amnesiac? Do you remember what I'm talking about? Like Knives Out or something? Or is that the movie?
I mean, there is a movie called Knives Out.
It's something about knives. Stick the knives.
Put away the knives in the coconut. And
are you looking it up right now? Pull the knives.
Yeah, give me a second.
Knives away. Knives fly. Knives.
I almost forgot what band we were talking about. I was like, Radiohead. Okay.
What was that song called? Knives or something?
Knives in the coconut and mix them all up.
Dangerous.
Amnesiac.
Knives. Sharpen the knives. Kitchen knives.
You on Whose Army? I might be wrong.
Paring
the song
knives.
is called Knives Out.
Oh, so it was. The movie was really making me doubt myself. Great movie also. If you see Knives Out, it's a really fun whodunit movie that is a parody of a whodunit movie while also being a phenomenal whodunit movie. But yeah, Knives Out, they were playing that one live and people loved it.
Oh, really?
And they chose to put it on the second album. Huh. Because people were like, where's Knives Out? It's supposed to be on Kid A.
Oh, wow. Interesting. Yeah. Maybe that was just like a big middle finger to all the people who wanted it to be on Kids A.
Could be.
Kid A, I mean.
The version of Morning Bell on Amnesiac's 4/4, the one on here is 5/4.
Yeah, it's a lot different.
Yeah. I like the one on Kid A way better. But the Amnesiac one's interesting to listen to after being familiar with that one. Should we move on to the last track?
Yeah.
My last recommendation?
Probably the most depressing song on the album.
Not sounding wise, though.
Not sounding wise, for sure.
Motion picture soundtrack.
Yeah.
This song caught me off guard the most when I listened to the album the first time.
Yeah, because it's definitely like way more melodic, way more...
oh, yeah.
It sounds...
like a Disney motion picture soundtrack.
It sounds like choral. Yeah, it sounds like a choral piece of music.
It starts off with that church pipe organ sounding instrument.
Yeah.
And his vocals come in.
Almost hymnal.
Yeah, it is. It does sound hymnal until about halfway through when the church organ's done.
Then the harps come in.
It's the glissando flowing harps just like...
Yeah.
And they're like in stereo, some playing all over the place. You're like, wow.
Yeah.
This is so happy and pleasant.
And then you look at the lyrics and you're like, well...
very depressing.
Maybe not. Yeah, he talks about drinking cheap wine and sleeping pills, and
I'm not sure if it's about suicide to join someone else, or if it's just to take you away mentally for a while, to, just as an escape. Because there are other things. He's talking about movies and other things to escape as well.
Yeah, I think Tom York kind of mentioned that. He was like, because the last line in the song is, "See you in the next life."
Yeah.
Right. And then someone was like, "Is this song about suicide?" And then Tom York was like, "I don't ever remember the ending of the song being about suicide. I just remember there being like angels."
She's like, "I don't remember that."
So he was probably like, it doesn't have to be viewed through that one lens. Like, it's super easy to kind of take this song and put it through that lens, you know?
Agreed.
So maybe it's just about, just trying to escape like mentally, or just trying to get away from a certain something, or if you did lose someone, or you are in the process of losing someone, or something like that, like just the line, "I'll see you in the next life," could just mean that.
It very well could.
You know, so...
I think you're crazy.
And then there is a
bonus
track.
Or a
it's
secret track.
It's another instrumental track.
Yeah.
So like whenever they first released it, after a minute of silence, this would come on for like a minute, and then another minute of silence would happen.
I believe they called it Tree Toes.
Tree Toes?
I have no idea.
No, I think it was just untitled.
Tree Toes vodka.
But, so that's Kid A.
That is Kid A in a nutshell. In a tree-fingered nutshell.
Yeah.
Very, very crazy album.
It really is. Like, it's...
And again, having listened to it after the fact, it's not as wild as it was at the time.
Yeah.
Like, for this to be a mainstream album from such a prominent rock band.
Yeah, that would be like... I mean...
That would be like Green Day putting out a weird...
Yeah, like put out some like weird like electronic... Or wouldn't even have to be like electronic, like some weird like...
experimental...
Yeah. You guys know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
It'd be like if some really popular band at the time... It'd be like if Billie Eilish like changed her whole sound.
If she became a...
she became like a punk rocker.
Country western.
Or country western, yeah. Oh, man. I don't know if that would translate like that, but...
Yeah, but it was off the walls at the time. Definitely worth listening, and it's worth giving multiple listens, because you might...
Definitely.
If you don't like it the first time, just give it a try.
And that's our general rule for any album that you're going to listen to for the first time. Listen to it like 5 or 6 times before you make a final judgment on whether or not you like it.
Animal Collective, I had to listen to
probably
Strawberry
like
Jam
times.
probably like 40 times.
Yeah.
And I was like, I guess I don't hate it.
See, I listened to it for first listen. I was like, this is great. I love this.
First listen, I was like, take me now, Lord.
Anyway, Billie Eilish. I saw a meme about her.
Yeah.
And it was her face on a bagpipe. And then it was like, 'cause I'm a bagpipe. Duh. And then bagpipe sounds.
That's pretty funny. 'Cause I'm a bagpipe.
Duh.
Duh. I can't even do a bagpipe. I wish I could do a bagpipe sound. Oh, man.
But anyway.
I'm looking forward to next week. We're back to a regularly formatted episode where I don't know which one we're going to do first, but we're doing the thing where we cut the episodes into individual albums. So I have recommended for Jesse to listen to Enemy of the World by 4 Years Strong.
Yes, and I have recommended for Steve Claro's album Immunity, which came out last year.
Yeah, 4 Years Strong came out like 10 years ago.
Yeah, it did.
Wow, it really did. When I was thinking that,
like 10 years.
Yeah.
It was one of those moments where you're like, it only came out 10 years ago. Wait a second, that's 10 years ago.
Yeah, because I still think of that as like a relatively new album, and
I still think of 10 years ago as 2000.
Yeah.
Or like 2005?
I relate everything to the year 2000. When someone says this happened in 1980, I was like, oh, only 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Nope.
Nope, 40 years ago.
Yep. Oh, dear Lord. Anyways.
Older.
Before we sign off, let's revisit our beer, shall we?
Yeah, one last time.
I don't think the taste has really...
The taste hasn't...
Switched as it warmed up?
Hasn't changed too much.
The thing I want to say, though, is I didn't get too much barrel age flavor. Did you?
Mm-mm.
I didn't either. I'm not disappointed about it.
What are they barrel aged in?
Tennessee whiskey barrels. Right. Yeah. So that's...
Yeah, I didn't get too much whiskey, but maybe they only barrel aged it for a little bit.
Could be. I'm not disappointed that I don't get it.
No,
it still tastes
true.
really good. Yeah, it's a good beer.
Yeah. I'm sure if you had this side by side with the thing before they barrel aged it, it would probably taste a little bit different.
Probably. You could probably pick out some little notes here and there.
Yeah.
But
overall,
good beer.
A good beer.
Yeah. I can't say that I'll ever have this one again because they bottled it once and who knows if they'll ever bring it back.
Yep. Well, I still have one, so...
There you go. But I will have more later. Various Artist beers in the future.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah. Check them out if you're in Nashville. They're great.
Yep, they are.
Pat. That's his name, right?
Pat, I think so.
He taught us clackers. Good guy.
Yep.
Anyways, that's what I was saying. Brews and Tunes. American Brews and Tunes. Down the Kid A hatch.
And if you have an album you want to recommend to us for a one-off,
drop us a line.
You can contact us on Instagram, any of those social medias.
Twitter, Facebook. Just look up American Brews and Tunes. That's all you got to do. You'll find us. Or you can send us an email at americanbrewsandtunes@gmail.com.
I believe that's what it is.
I believe so.
I never go on there, but I believe that's what it is.
It definitely is.
Okay.
Anyways, my name is Stephen Johnston.
And my name is Jesse Titus.
And thanks for joining us on a very fun episode of American Brews and Tunes.
Oh! Here's a theme song, you know it's not a mean song. It's a good song, just as it should song. American Brews and Tunes. Shibbity-beeby-da.